In India, the world's largest democracy, millions upon millions of school-aged children are still receiving an inadequate education. A recent governmental mandate for universal access to education is aimed at addressing the millions of children who are receiving no schooling at all. But this bureaucratic measure, however well-intentioned, fails to address problems such as overcrowded classrooms and high dropout rates. And then factor in an examination-driven teaching system, characterized by rote learning, with minimal emphasis on parental involvement, and a curriculum that hardly prepares these children for life. All of which means that the quality of education remains far below what it should be. Simply put, the present system is failing huge numbers. And not surprisingly, the poorest children are the ones who are most affected. Born into extreme poverty, these children have to survive daily without even the most basic resources. So with the deck stacked against them, society at large expects very little of these kids, which in turn makes them expect very little of themselves. Without an education, it is all but guaranteed they will never reach their full potential. But it doesn't have to be that way. Just over 20 years ago, a young woman named Shaheen Mistry, with a small group of her fellow college students, decided to do something about the situation. Something that would have a ripple effect in changing the education system at large. Their pledge was to give the children living in the slums an opportunity to enjoy their childhood and to have better prospects for a more fulfilled life. From that simple idea, the first Akanksha Center was born. Today, thousands of children attend Akanksha's programs throughout Mumbai and Pune, where the goals of the centers are to build a strong educational foundation in English and Math, to develop self-esteem and good values, to provide a space where children can have fun and be children again, to help all the students successfully complete secondary school, and prepare them for a meaningful job and life after graduation. In the past 20 years, on average, 75% of Akanksha students have graduated and gone on to college, whereas the national average was usually under 30%. And with the incredible success of the centers, by 2007, Akanksha was fulfilling its larger dream, making an actual impact on the educational system by creating its own schools, with a high-performance curriculum and methodology that aims to redefine what is possible in low-income communities. As of 2010, Akanksha has created more than half a dozen full-time schools, with the goal of doubling that number in the next few years, creating a model that can be scaled and replicated by the government and other organizations teaming up with Akanksha. An external assessment board found that after just 1 year at the newly formed Akanksha schools, students were already near the national average of their privileged peers at the prestigious private institutions, closing achievement gaps of 30 to 50% because of Akanksha's unique educational approach. And all of this was accomplished by spending the same amount the city government spent on children in the regular schools, proving that the Akanksha model is not only cost-effective, but that with progressive teaching methods, you need not throw endless money at the problem. With this success, Akanksha is now acknowledged as leading the way for educational change in India. And it is from this vantage point that Akanksha is spreading its model and replicating its success with like-minded partners across the country in hope of creating wider systemic reform and to ultimately make sure that a great education is not merely a privilege for the few, but a right for every child. Because there's nothing more fulfilling than helping a child fulfill his or her dream.
Akanksha is an NGO which has 3 major focus points: the education of English, mathematics and values to those who really need it, the underprivileged people in India. everything which we do at Akanksha has some practical importance. We do many projects, many theme activities. It teaches you to enjoy life in all the fields, in arts, in science, in English, or in the service projects where you can actually help your society by doing something.
Every day I visit Akanksha communities, and even not this community, also other communities or other Akanksha centers. And I think so some of the kids have lot of family problems. I think so really when they come over here, they want to come and just sit and want to have their own space. Akanksha is really a support.
We have service project for students over a period of year where the students themselves identify a problem in the society. They research on that problem and also they organize awareness campaigns.
And the real impact of Akanksha will come in force when the students of Akanksha are in action. They are actually doing something in the society.
You can really see the change between this Akanksha child and another child. The way they talk, the way they sit, the way they eat. They are focused on studies also. Akanksha is going to help them in their career and it is going to support them. Like they are grooming themselves.